So there's a with the Bulls.
Sports.
And welcome back. Guess what? Kevin Durant has demanded a trade. I don't know if it's a demand. It's like a strong request, a very urgent request. If it were an email, he would have CC'd the head of every department and probably written urgent in all caps. But Kevin Durant wants out, and his number one location is apparently Phoenix, which means only one thing. We threw up the B signal to get our resident Phoenix Suns expert here on the phone. Sorry for waking you up, Shawn, but thank you so much for joining us to discuss the newest Phoenix Sun, Kevin Durant. How pumped are you about this Kevin Durant business, my friend?
I am very zero pumped, my dude. I have no pumps to give out here.
That's what she said?
Why? I'm going to tell you why, kid. And, well, actually, you go first. I'm still trying to get my thoughts together. I ain't going to lie. I'm upset. I need to take a value real quick, bro. Go ahead and tell me what you're going to say.
He needs a Valium. Okay, that's fair enough, man. Hey, I can't even fathom what it would be like to have the Indiana Pacers on a players trade to list. It's always, the Pacers are always the team players want to leave. I'm used to being on the side of, oh, hey, our best player is demanding a trade again. Yeah, that's that time of the decade. Happens every 2 or 3 years. So I can't even fathom what it would be like to have a talent like Kevin Durant joining my team. I don't know if I would love this move as a Suns fan. The asking price is going to be so high for Kevin Durant. He has 4 years on his contract. What I will say, because I want to hear the Suns fans' perspective before I muddy the waters, so what I will talk about is what I know, which is that if Kevin Durant had not signed his extension last year with Brooklyn, this would be a chance for him and Kyrie to essentially run it back on 2019. They both could have signed with, let's just say, the Knicks, because that seems to be the popular one I hear. But Kevin Durant signing that extension has had such crazy implications, because then Kyrie opted in. Word around the streets are that the Lakers are heavily interested in gaining Kyrie. The only way that happens is probably with a buyout, mid-level exception situation, but that's a talk for another day. But it is very interesting how Kevin Durant's decision to sign that extension when he didn't really have to, and it tends to be almost against the norm from what superstars of his caliber have been doing, opting in such a way. So it really has set the table where, at the very least, the team that's trading for him might feel some consolation that it's a 4-year deal. But if the last 4 years have taught me anything, it's like that does not matter. As soon as the ink is dry, the player has all the leverage. So I've heard a lot of talk about how Kevin Durant has no leverage here. Bullshit. Sorry, respectfully. Yes, he does. He has tons of leverage here, because if he doesn't want to play, all he has to do is go see a doctor that doesn't work for the team that says he's got an injury. And then he's not breaching his contract and he didn't have to play. Shit, Ben Simmons didn't even do a physical injury. He went the mental health route and was able to keep the majority of his contract. So Kevin Durant holds all the cards here. The Suns aren't his only choice, but they are his top choice. So now, to maybe help you, Shawn, I don't think you're going to like it. Based on a message that I received from you earlier, which our listeners either have already heard by now, or you click the link that just popped up on your screen, or wait for later. I don't know. I know what some of your original thoughts were, but if it's what I'm hearing is Ayton and Mikal Bridges. I've also heard Cam Johnson as a possible instead of Bridges, never both. But then I'm guessing it's 2 to 3 first-round picks on top of that, if not maybe just some first-round swaps. So, pause on me, I guess. Your sigh says a lot.
Man, dude. I'm trying to keep my composure because, I mean, believe it or not, contrary to popular belief, we like to keep it fairly professional on this network. You know, so I don't want to be the one throwing F-bombs every other sentence. But damn, it's tough right now. Because I'm upset, dude. Here's the thing, okay? It just makes no sense to me. And it's hard for me to fathom, like, the people in these organizations who make millions and millions of dollars can be so fucking stupid. Like, if someone was paying me that much money, I just don't see how. I don't get it, man. Because here I am sitting here broke as fuck, eating tuna fish sandwiches, and, you know, can't really afford name brand Funyuns. Yeah, I feel like I have enough sense that I wouldn't trade a young building block player like Ayton, who hasn't even reached his ceiling. I don't even think I think the dude just turned maybe 22 or 23 years old. The dude barely hasn't been able to legally drink for more than a year, type of deal. Young as fuck, you know, he's like, you know, our equivalent of our Shaq. You know, he completes our Shaq and Kobe like dynamic. Not saying he's anything like Shaq, but, you know, him and Booker is our 1-2 punch. You know what I'm saying? That's a 1-2 punch that is rare. It's awesome to have on a franchise. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's a franchise player. He's not just some scrub. He's not in the middle of the road or even a role player. Like, he's a rising star. And you're going to trade this young stud for a dude who, quite frankly, is one of the greatest players to play the game ever. But he's also like 47 years old, bro. He's about 5 years away from having an AARP card, my dude. He's old as fuck. You know what I'm saying? Like, old as shit. And you're going to trade DeAndre Ayton, Mikal Bridges, or Cam Johnson to either one of those dudes, great role players. Come on, you know, Mikal starts. Cam Johnson has started at times when certain players are injured, like Devin Booker or whatever. But he comes off the bench. He's reigning, like, I don't know if he won sixth man, but I know he was like in the running for like sixth man last year. Like, he's coming off the bench dropping buckets, you know, and it's like you're going to give up any of them dudes and 3 to 4 first round picks for Kevin Durant. Like, if you would have told me that 10 years ago, I might have been like, yeah, you know, that's worth it. But like now, like, no, dude, I wouldn't trade you a snack pack pudding and a fucking can of ravioli for Kevin Durant right now. I just wouldn't do it. You know, like, I just would not do it. But I don't know. I'm just a scrub out here, dog. I don't have 6 figures in my bank account, so I may not be, you know, intelligent enough to make decisions. Maybe they're seeing something I can't see. But from the side of the fence I'm looking at, bro, I don't know, man. The grass don't look very green when it comes to that trade, dog. It's looking more like the Sandlot to me, you dig? That's just my thoughts, KK. What you got for him, bro? What you think?
Well, I might not have $6 in my checking account either, but I think Kevin Durant is worth a lot more than a tuna fish sandwich or a can of ravioli or whatever it was that you had. I do get where you're coming from. And now, here's an additional layer to this that I think has to be considered, and it won't be a counterpoint to your argument, Shawn, because you're kind of making the point that the Suns front office is messing up here, and you've spoken very highly of Ayton just now, and I'm not going to be someone who argues the fact that the 23-year-old Ayton still has a ton of potential and very well could be one of the best centers in the league, if not the best center, for the next 5 to 6 years. But the Suns don't seem to be willing to offer him a max, which means, you know, he's basically up on the block to be traded, which is why everyone just immediately assumes that because Durant put the Suns number 1 on his list, and because the Suns are going to have to trade Ayton because they aren't going to offer him a max deal, so they have to trade him before he can just walk on them. So that's just, a lot of people are making that assumption, and it's a fair assumption to make. One would assume if Kevin Durant ends up going to Phoenix, one way or another, Ayton is going to be part of that deal, even if he doesn't end up in Brooklyn, even if it's a 3-team trade and he goes somewhere where he does plan to sign an extension, some kind of sign-and-trade situation. So it may be a situation, I just realized I used that word a lot in the last couple sentences, but it may be a scenario where they have to trade Ayton no matter what, so he just ends up, so it's not necessarily they're saying, oh, we're trading you Ayton for Durant straight up in a vacuum, because I don't think anyone else would do that either. I don't know. Championships are worth a lot, man. You know, we've seen people sell the farm and mortgage the next decade for that one shot at a championship. So I wouldn't be surprised to see a team make a move like that. It's not the move I would make in 2K. You know, I'm not trying to get, you know me, Shawn, don't tell anybody on this recording, but you know the rules. Once you hit 31 on my 2K team, you're trade bait. Like, you're out of here, dude. Like, I don't mess with that. So I'm never trading for Kevin Durant, but and I still don't like it. Like, I know it's the thing we're supposed to argue, and I'm supposed to tell you you're wrong, that this is actually a great trade and it would be brilliant. And do I think a Booker Durant combination is going to be almost impossible to stop? Yes. The answer to that is yes, especially if Chris Paul does stick around. Like, I imagine with Durant and Booker, if you just, I'll play devil's advocate here and just say, let's say they do it. Maybe Chris Paul takes a really, really light year and just barely plays until the playoffs so he doesn't run out of steam this time. And with him running the show, and all he's got to do is hit, and all, you know, Kevin Durant and Devin Booker just have to get open, and the Suns find somebody, whether it be in the buyout market or just a couple of different veteran big men to fill the Ayton void, to come in, set screens, to get Booker and Durant open. Like, that's pretty freaking lethal, man. That might get you that chip. So, did any of that make you feel better? Would you, if it meant a chip, you know, are you still not interested at all, knowing that DeAndre Ayton has to walk? Or are you saying that, hey, the Suns front office, they just need to reconsider and make Ayton a max guy?
So, to answer your first question, no, it does not make me feel any better. And to answer your second question, yeah, I think the front office should definitely reconsider and make Ayton a max guy. And also, just stop fucking vet chasing, bro. Once you get your shit together, fucking do what you're paid to do. Run a fucking organization. Draft. Learn how to draft, bro. Build the fucking team through the draft. You've already got cornerstone players. All you need to really do at this point is draft, like, try to find a stud-ass point guard that can take over for Chris Paul. I mean, Cam Payne's nice, dude, but he's not the guy at the position as a starter. Like, he's good. He's hella dope in doses. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's good coming off the bench, and he can definitely sub when need to if someone's hurt. But I would not feel good going into the season with Cam Payne as my number one at the one spot. Like, I'm not, nah, bro. Fuck that noise. But you're definitely going to need, like I said, a point guard that can learn under Chris Paul for a year or two, and that can take his spot, and then have like a wing player of a Durant kind of potential. Obviously, it's going to be, I mean, players like Durant are once in a generation kind of talent, in my opinion. So can't really tell you to find like a Durant number 2, but you know, just try to find someone that fits that mold the way you like. Like, don't just go out here and trade the fucking farm for a dude who's 38 years old on a 4-year extension. Like, that's just retarded, dude. Like, I don't get it, man. Like, I'm gonna be quite frank with you, dude. Like, and I've said this before, and I'll say it again for those who have not heard me say it or may have forgotten. But I'll tell you what, I'm not a fucking Suns fan, bro, by any means. I'm a Devin Booker fan. I love me some D-Book. But if the fucking Suns dick off and fuck this up and ruin D-Book's chances of winning this shit, I'm done with the team. I'm telling you right fucking now, I will pack my fan card and travel on down the road. Because there's plenty of other players I like too. Devin Booker ain't the only fucking player I like. But again, that's my favorite player. I want to see him win a championship. But it's not my fault he plays for a shitty ass team, shitty ass organization. I'm not gonna stick around, waste my fucking time following a team who doesn't give a shit about the fans. Because I can't see many fans at all being on board with this, bro. Like I'm in plenty of Suns fan groups, and I can tell you right now, consensus is no one's really happy about this, bro. No one wants fucking Nate to leave for Durant. Doesn't fucking matter if Aiden's gonna go or not. Like if he has to be traded, I get that. But trade him for someone of, in my opinion, better value. Don't trade him for fucking Grandpa Durant, dog. I don't want Grandpa on my squad. I'm not giving up the fucking farm for, Grandpa fucking Durant. I don't want the shit. That's why it's really, I've had all I have to say on that. I'm feeling like Forrest Gump over here, dog. That's all I got to say about that.
There ain't much more to be said about it. So you heard it here. KD to the Suns is a no-go from the Phoenix faithful. There are a couple other contenders in the Durant mix. I want to throw a couple out there, and then I want to hear from you, Shawn, of these situations that I throw out there. If there's one or two of them that you like, or at least interest you the most, let me know what you got to say here. So, the first thought is the other team that Durant mentioned as his number 2, which is the Miami Heat. Tyler Hero would almost certainly have to be part of that deal. Most likely Kyle Lowry would have to be moved, which I think Kyle Lowry's just as old as Kevin Durant and just as injured in the last season at least. So I think that's still an upgrade probably worth making.
They probably want Bam Adebayo, I would assume.
So the thing with Bam Adebayo, they can include him in that trade. They just can't trade him to the Nets because there is a rule, and forgive me, I don't remember the name of the rule verbatim, but I know what the rule states, and that is this. You cannot have 2 players on your roster that are on their rookie extension, and because the Nets have Ben Simmons on their roster, they are therefore not able to trade for Bam Adebayo unless Ben Simmons also becomes a part of the deal, which honestly, hey, there's a good idea, because I think if Kyrie and KD are gone, I'd rather trade Ben Simmons now while there's still some value to get from him, because you just don't know if he's going to play, and you're probably not going to win a lot this year in Brooklyn.
Isn't he still milking the mental health card? Like, isn't that still his thing?
Now it's the lower back. He's healthy now. I don't know about the mental health thing, if that's fully, but what kept him out of the playoffs was his lower back, allegedly. And the thing is if it's a mental health thing, I get it, Philly's brutal, but New York is not any nicer to you as an athlete or just as a human being in general. So I think Ben Simmons has to go too. So maybe he gets packaged along and goes to Miami, where he can at least enjoy all of his free time. And then KD, Jimmy Butler, and whoever else. I mean, that's a pretty good combo. Another one I've heard is Portland, which I don't know. I don't really think Portland has the assets to offer, but man, that would be a dope combination. Dame Lillard and KD. Of course, Oklahoma has the resources, but there's no way to ever go there. But I think, I've said this before and I'll say it again, sadly for Brooklyn, the team that can offer the best package is the Golden State Warriors. If you think about it, they have Kuminga, they have Moses Moody, they have James Wiseman, none of whom played any minutes in their championship run. They still have most of their draft equity. So when you look at what team X's and O's, again, if we put it in the 2K22 vacuum, it's the Warriors that have the best deal that they could put on the table. So maybe it becomes a 3-team situation. But if any of those that I've mentioned stuck out to you, the Lakers were on Durant's list, but of course they got ruled out almost immediately because they weren't willing to move Talen Horton-Tucker, which I think is just goofy. I think in their situation, yeah, I know he's the only prospect they have, but he's the only prospect they have. Once LeBron retires, you have to sell everything. So what are you holding on to Talen Horton-Tucker like he's some precious... Rob Pelinka is Gollum, and Talen Horton-Tucker is the one ring, and he's like, no, you can't have him. Anyway, any of those Durant trades tickle your fancy?
I mean, I'll be real with you, dude. Anybody trading for Durant's probably on the losing end, whoever's getting them. And I don't say that. I swear to you, I love Kevin Durant as a talent, man. Like, he's definitely a hell of a player, and I will be real. I'll be honest with you. I have played hella 2K games with that man over the years, mostly when he was in his OKC days. But the dude's a monster. I would put him top 10 greatest players ever played game. As far as like, and in my lifetime, easily top 10 for sure. I mean, he's up there. He's a dog. I'm not trying to take anything away from the man from a talent perspective. My biggest concern is his age and health, man. Like, the dude, I can't remember the time he played a full season. Like, I can't remember last time, man. It's been a while. Like, he's always, between him, Kyrie, I mean, one of them dudes has always been hurt at the Nets. Like, I can't tell you, it's been very slim that I've seen them both play on the Nets, like, at the same time. Like, one of them dudes is hurt constantly, it feels like. So, I mean, you know, for me, if I'm a GM, I'm not trying to trade my future away for a dude that I might be able to play 50 games in a season. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not trying to do that. Like, I'm sorry. Like, yeah, when he's on the court, he's by far probably the best player on the court. You know, but is it worth it? Like, I don't think it is, Kev. What do you think? Would you trade, if you were a GM for any team and you had the capital to get Durant, were you making the move?
It depends on the team. I put a lot of value on winning an NBA championship because you don't have to look far down the list of NBA franchises just to see how rare and how valuable they are. I mean, if you're not a Lakers or a Celtics fan, both franchises admittedly really got to stock their shelves when it was slim pickings in the NBA. So I'm going to withhold some of my commentary on those older championships, but they all count equally, right? So I don't know. I mean, ask the Toronto Raptors fans if they regret trading for Kawhi Leonard to get that title. Like, when it works, it has to be worth it. But you're not wrong in the sense that, like, if it doesn't work, you're losing a lot and you're not even getting a championship. So what did you have to gain? Like, look at, and this is not what's happening to Brooklyn right now. I think they're actually in a pretty good situation. They're going to get a lot of value back, at least for Durant. I don't know what happens with Kyrie. I think they can get value for Ben Simmons. But to use Brooklyn as an example for their own situation, or one that failed them before, when they traded for Boston, Kevin Garnett and Paul Pierce, they sold off a ton of draft picks, and I mean, look at what Boston went ahead and did with all of those assets that ended up giving the Nets absolutely nothing in return. And it set them back to a point that if Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving hadn't just decided, like, hey, dog, let's just go and play together and let's do it in Brooklyn, Brooklyn would still be rebuilding from that mistake. So I get what you're saying there. But if you're asking me, as an Indiana Pacers fan who has never seen his team win an NBA Finals, and in fact has only ever seen them even play in one, and also as a Cubs fan who has seen one World Series win and then had to watch the team pretty much blow everything up slowly afterwards, and all my favorite players are gone, I'd say, yeah, it was worth it. Now, that being said, I don't really watch baseball the same anymore because, I don't know, once you've been withheld for so long, like nothing will ever match the euphoria of the 2016 World Series for me in any of sports. Maybe a Pacers title would come pretty damn close just because I love basketball so much more than I love baseball. But yeah, man, I think it's worth it if for the right team at the right cost, because I would front load those draft picks, right? If I'm trading for Kevin Durant, I'm giving you my first rounders for the next 2 years because I'm hoping Kevin Durant's getting me to the finals for the next 2 years. So what's a 30th overall draft pick to me? I don't give a shit. Take it. There's also something to be considered. Whoever gets Kevin Durant, yes, they are going to have to give up assets, but this happens every year. It happened in Brooklyn. It happens every year in LA. It's probably happening as we speak. You're going to have those veteran guys, and I'm just going to drop a name, and everyone just chill the fuck out because I'm not saying this guy is a solution to any problems.
Move this man!
Or either of these guys. But already we've heard that Kemba Walker and Danilo Gallinari, who are involved in trades, are going to be bought out. And these are guys that are going to go sign with contenders, most likely. I don't know what Kemba Walker is going to do. He may have to go sign with a young team to prove to the league that he can still play. I don't really know what's going on there. But I imagine someone like Danilo Gallinari is going to be highly sought after for a mid-level by every contender, because who doesn't want a stretch four that can hit the three in today's NBA? So I think there's a team out there for which the price is right, that you can, of course, you're not going to replace all that you lose, but you can restock your roster enough to make a deep run. But you're going to it has to be a team that already has at least one other superstar, because I do agree with you about the injury stuff. And I would take the same approach I mentioned earlier about Chris Paul and apply it to Durant. Do what teams are already doing. Rest him frequently. Keep him fresh for the playoffs. Don't play him against teams with really bad records. Or, have him dress, but have him play very few minutes. And take your shot at a title. But I don't know if I'm the Suns GM, I don't know if I make the trade. I might get involved in a 3-team trade and use Brooklyn's unfortunate situation to maybe add to my pantry while also moving off of a disgruntled big man. But I don't know what else. That's the thing. I don't know what the Suns can do to trade Ayton and feel like they're getting compensated while also not ruining their shot at a championship window. I mean, if Paul's gone and Ayton's gone, I don't see how this Suns team is anywhere near the Western Conference Finals next year. Unless Kevin Durant's in there.
Yeah, they're nowhere even close to it, dude. They're far off.
Oh, no, I'm with you. Maybe if Kevin Durant is part of that deal, then maybe, yes. I would say Durant and Booker could light it up. But otherwise, if Ayton goes, and who knows what's going on with Chris Paul, it could be, hey, I'll tell you what, man, I will keep a seat warm for you on the Pacers bandwagon, because that team is going places. It's a rebuild. It's a rebuild that we can't wait to see. And I don't know, I'm going to be bugging you about some Pacers things later, but I feel like we've touched everything about the Durant thing. Do you have any parting words on that?
Please don't do it, Phoenix Suns. That's all I have to ask. If anyone in our organization can hear me now, as a basketball fan in general, I just love the sport of basketball, and I love me some D-Book. Please don't fucking do it. If you do, damn you. That's all I got to say, bro.
That's all that needs to be said. So wait. So there's with the Bulls, Durant to the Bulls is.
I don't think it's realistic, but I know some people. I want to see if I can find it. Like, some people have made some suggestions about what it would take. I can't remember the trade, but it was like 3 first-round picks, um, like DeMar, DeRozan, Vuk, like AO, and somebody else. And I feel like, I mean, oh, here we go. Somebody made a comment, or I saw this trade: Vuk, Kobe White, Patrick Williams, 3 first-round picks for Durant, and I feel like that is. I mean, Durant is
Who's
Durant, but I
left?
feel
It's
like that's.
Levine, Lonzo, maybe Caruso. Who's left? Tristan Thompson holding it down at the 5 spot.
I mean,
I,
I just feel like that's way too much to trade for Kevin Durant.
you're right.
Personally,
You're right. So I'm sorry, Bulls fans. And everyone knows, true fans know how much the Bulls fans love me, especially after I bring up Tristan Thompson again. But I just don't see it, and I also don't think it's worth it. Like just as you said, at that point, the pantry's barren. What else are you gonna get? Are you gonna get a bunch of mid-level exception, vet minimum stuff? But I don't know. I don't know. I don't love it. You want to know what's weird? You want to know who has the best package that they could offer Brooklyn? Brooklyn's ideal trade partner is in this situation.
who's that?
The Golden State Warriors.
No shit.
The Golden State Warriors have Kuminga. They have James Wiseman. They have Moses Moody. 3 young players who didn't even sniff the floor during their championship run. They have some draft equity. And now I'm not saying it's the last place I would expect Durant to want to go, because I think part of what he is still searching for is one title without those guys. If not to prove it to any of us, although he does seem to be very active on Twitter, so I think he does want to shut a lot of people up. But I think it's also for himself a little bit. I need to get one without these dudes. But if you were looking strictly at who could make the best, most realistic offer in a 2K22 vacuum, it's the Warriors, man. They have the best chance. And I think I'll be talking with Shawn here soon about the Suns is the other one. So Durant apparently
They made the comment about the Thunder as a joke, though.
The Thunder.
I mean, I don't know though, because they did just sign Lou Dort today.
They did sign Lou Dort. No, the Thunder are in such a good place. I had a tweet the other day being the day of the NBA draft, where it was can't remember if I had picked 2025 or 2026, but I said let's just call it 2025 NBA Finals, Pistons over Thunder in 7. The Thunder have just such an exciting young core to look forward to. It's fun to play the trade machine game with this Kevin Durant stuff. But I think that was goofy. I think that, he listed the Lakers, which couldn't happen, so it immediately went away. The Lakers went away. And so the two main ones,
send Westbrook back, and I don't know that the Nets wouldn't take him.
Exactly, yeah. And then they don't have enough. They don't have enough draft. They don't have enough capital. And I believe, which stop me if you've heard this one before, sports fans, the Lakers weren't willing to offer Talen Horton-Tucker in the deal, which at this point is just stupid to me. The number of good players the Lakers could have acquired if they had just been willing to let go of this one prospect, they could have. It's just so dumb to me. I don't know why they won't let this guy go. I understand he has value. Find a price that he's worth and get rid of him. The Lakers are a win now team who, for some reason, are just salivating over this one prospect, as if once an 80-year-old LeBron James leaves, that Talen Horton-Tucker is going to be able to put the whole franchise on his back. Like, no, go get something for him. Go get something that will help you win now. Maybe restock your fucking draft pantry. It's dumb. The Lakers, I don't think, are a realistic possibility, although I think they could be a real option for Kyrie at this point, because Kyrie's out, no doubt about that. There's no way he stays. So is it?
I would not put the effort in trading for Kyrie personally.
I wouldn't. No one's going to trade for him. He's going to have to get bought out, and he's going to have to sign a $6 million deal. Now, if I think any team it's worth $6 to $8 million to pay Kyrie Irving, even if he only plays 27 games. It's worth that. I think the Suns make sense. Like, they're not going to sign DeAndre Ayton. So think about this. They package Ayton, either Cam Johnson or Mikal Bridges. And then they got some draft picks. And I'm sure there's another young player probably that goes along. But that's probably the most realistic. If Miami does it, then maybe Tyler Hero's in the mix. And they probably... See, I feel like Miami has to move more pieces away in order to bring Durant in, that where Miami would be weaker, whereas the Suns could almost plug and play with this thing. Go ahead. Sorry.
They did just apparently agree to a deal with Oladipo again. For
really?
11.
What was that? What's that for? What's the
1 year, $11 million.
11 million. Shout out to my fellow Pacers fans for a brief moment. Can I just say that Victor Oladipo refusing to sign that $25 million a year extension is one of the greatest things to happen to the Pacers in the last 10 years. Can you imagine the bullet that was dodged by not giving this guy max money? I'm happy for him that he's going to get a chance. I still think he's a great player, seems to be a nice guy, but just wow to see that value drop the way that it has over the last couple of years.
I served him spaghetti one time.
You served Sticky Vicky spaghetti?
Yeah.
Hell yeah. I'm putting that in the bio somewhere. I don't know if we have enough room in our Twitter bio, but we're putting that somewhere.
I was just looking at some of these other deals too, and I mean Booker signed 4-year, 214. What I don't understand, like, just again, I don't watch the NBA, and I could give two shits, but just I don't understand how Bradley Beal got a $251 million deal when I feel like he's not worth it. I mean,
well, how many years? 250?
5-year.
5-year, 250. Guaranteed?
I don't know. It's just
okay, no worries. Man, so, I mean,
yeah, it's the max.
That's a fair take. You know, it's a common. I need a better word. I mean, it's not offensive to you for me to call you a casual NBA fan, because I feel like that in this situation, it's often used too often. It's used as an insult to people, like, "Oh, you casual," but like in this instance, like you said yourself, like you don't really follow the NBA, and you probably have a point. And it's much like in the NFL, was Christian Kirk worth the money that the Jaguars paid him? Absolutely not. In what world is he worth that? And look at the impact it had on the rest of the wide receiver market in the offseason. Mm-hmm. Maybe something similar here, but Bradley Beal, make no mistake, is an all-star player. He's an all-pro, one of the best scoring shooting guards in the league. It's just unfortunately he plays in DC, where fewer people care, and where they just don't have a winning. There's nothing around him ever. But when you think about these small market teams, it's kind of the only option that they have is to supermax the guys that they did bring in, either on a rookie contract through the draft, or, you know, if they have their bird rights and stuff like that, they can. So I don't know.
I didn't realize they had Porzingis.
Yeah, they traded Spencer Dinwiddie, and Davis Bertrands, who I almost always call David. Yeah, so they traded for Porzingis, although I don't think there are any answers there. Yeah, it's just what I mean. If you're Washington, what are you going to do? Not sign Bradley Beal? Then what are you going to do? You know, how many years does it take the Washington Wizards to find the next Bradley Beal? I mean,
Jokic got a massive deal today too, but that's not really a surprise, and it's well deserved.
Now, I mean, fair, yes, back-to-back MVPs again. We'll champion for old B-Rad Beal and say that his, for sure. I'm gonna put it this way: if Bradley Beal were out on the market, if Bradley Beal pulled a Kevin Durant today, just as many teams are calling DC. Again, to those of us who just consume basketball, like, Kevin Durant is a recognizable name. But But to those who watch the sport regularly, like Bradley Beal is that dude. But again, like you're not wrong in thinking that these contracts, they continue to go way up. They'll go up again next year.
I will
It's just
say
been
though,
insane.
I guess it's nice that he's sticking around where he got drafted. I'm not faulting him for doing it. I feel like, again, casually, I just don't know that he seems to be worth that. But
I mean, I'm sure that is a deep dive for us to definitely go into someday because I know there's a whole lot there that I understand but don't have necessarily the numbers in front of me. You know, you got to think about, because I'm just trying to think of, just for instance, like jersey sales, and then you know, ticket revenue as well. If Porzingis is the best player in DC, is your basketball team profitable next year? So, you know, maybe that's the reason for spending a lot of money. I do know, like I said, as far as X's and O's, Bradley Beal being on that court will keep them somewhat relevant, although the Eastern Conference gets deeper and deeper. There's another trade I have to talk about at some point with DeJounte Murray to the Hawks with Trae Young, which, and you want to talk about something that sounds great on paper but doesn't make a lot of sense to me. If it works, it's going to be gangbusters, dude. Like if Trae Young can do Steph Curry things without the ball, if Trae Young can go run around in circles and come off screens and catch and shoot, like him with a point guard that's good next to him will be so hard to stop.
But Lakers made a lot of depth deals today.
Who they had? They had Lonnie Walker the fourth. That's a big one.
I was going to say I didn't think that was a bad deal. Juan Toscano Anderson.
Okay.
Don't know shit about him. Troy Brown. And there was another one. Damian Jones.
Not that's a throwback. That reminds me of the old Heat point guard, Damon Jones, I think. Called him Eamon Owens because he had no D and no J. But, man, this is just the beginning. I have such a late night ahead of me, by the way. All NBA signings that I can get my hands on. Gotcha. I appreciate you helping me break some of this news, by the way.
Oh, yeah. Crazy day, to say the least.